Welcome to the Epic Podcast, your elopement photographer inspiration compass. I'm your host, Cheryl Ann, elopement photographer, former Navy officer, and proud mama. This is where adventure and destination elopement photographers come to get inspired, connect, and keep learning. If you're ready to reach new heights and find your true north, you're in the right place. Stay epic. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Epic Podcast. I'm your host, Cheryl Ann. Today we have a very special episode because we have a guest. Our guest today is Shayna from Hybrid Hangout. She is a elopement photographer and she is also an educator, and she teaches other photographers how to not only shoot photo, but to shoot video as well on elopement days. So she's created this really, really amazing program that teaches both photo and video in the most stress-free, approachable, simple way. So if you've ever been interested about doing both photo and video, this episode is for you. So welcome to the episode, Shayna.
Hi, Cheryl. Is this going on YouTube? Because if so, you have to go on YouTube. Cheryl looks so freaking cute.
Thank you so much, Shayna. You're so kind.
Man, I am so honored to be here. And it's not often I get a promo in the intro. You're so sweet.
Thank you. Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know you, Shayna, can you please introduce yourself, especially like what you do in our elopement community?
Absolutely. So my name's Shayna. I own a photo video business called Montana Diaries. I've been in the game for almost a decade now, which is so crazy. I feel like I'm almost dead. But I entered the industry in literally the dumbest, weirdest way possible. And that is in college, I had a YouTube channel where I would film dumb vlogs with my roommates. I would interview them about their dating lives. And I also had a series on that channel where I would hike with my then boyfriend, now husband, Brandon, around Montana. And travel diaries at the time were poppin'. Think like blonde Utah moms traveling the world and just posing in their one pieces in front of blue ass water. I wanted to be that, but for the PNW. And so I was like, well, I live in the prettiest place on earth. So my series was not called Travel Diaries. It was called Montana Diaries. Those videos where I was hiking Montana, had stupid good SEO, search engine optimization. And I just hit a perfect time in my market where the two videographers who existed at the time were slowly petering out, retiring. And so I started getting inquiries to do video for outdoor brands and for weddings. I took a portfolio building year or two and eventually added photography as my clients started asking, had to figure out how to run a real legal business and hit the ground running. Years later, I niched down quite a bit. I still shoot basically everything, but my main niche is adventure elopements in the mountains. I feel so ridiculously lucky that this is my life. And the side quest of that is teaching photographers how to add video so they can also serve their clients who don't want huge production teams and paparazzi situations and multiple points of contact. They just want a beautiful highlight film taken with the same storytelling style that they loved from their photographer. And that's how I help photographers scale. And it's also how I help them serve their clients really well.
I love that. So you've done video since, like, you started with video and then happenstance fallen upon photo and then elopement.
I'm the opposite of everybody else. Absolutely. I was a yearbook nerd, so I knew like kind of how to use a camera and I knew how to edit in Photoshop, not Lightroom when I first started. But yeah, I professionally I fell into video and then ended up adding photo.
And I also love how you started as like the travel vlogger, because I feel like that's how I kind of started in a way, not with travel like vlogging, but with photos. And I loved capturing all of my adventures with photos and then editing. And then that's kind of how I got into photography. So it's cool that we have the same start. So
I love that, and you kinda came up in the same, culture because blogs were huge, that,
mhm.
like, seeing the girlies, like, take their photos, it was really attractive, and, we were in, like, the early stages of Instagram too and Pinterest, and your point of view being from a travel lens is so obvious in your work, Cheryl, like, your wide shots and your storytelling is gorgeous, so I think that ends up pairing really well with elopements when you love to travel anyway.
Thank you. Shayna, you've been hyping me up since the beginning. Thank you so
You're hot and talented, it's not hard.
thank you. Okay, so how did Hybrid Hangout start?
Oh, welcome to my crazy education journey. I'm going to distill it
Okay.
into 1 minute or less. But I actually started back in 2019, going into 2020, like pandemic times, with a course called Videography for Photographers that was under my brand. And that was such a roller coaster, beautiful time for me for education. And then when I was pregnant with my second kid, who I adore, he's 3 now, I ended up partnering with one of my students who scaled her business beyond her wildest dreams by adding video, and she expanded with Super 8 video. We were obsessed with each other, became best friends, travel partners. So we rebranded. She did more like in person events and styled shoots, and she's like a fashionista, most talented person I've ever met, great personality. If you think of me as being Black Cat, she's Golden Retriever, that sort of pairing. We ended up rebranding both of our education sides of our business into one brand. And we did that for 2 years together, had a podcast together, ran amazing events. We added on Super 8 education on top of my video education. And then we ran into some trademark issues, which that's so fun in business, baby's first trademark issue. And so after another rebrand, she decided to step away from the business, still obsessed with her. And then I decided if I'm going to keep going, this was a few months ago, that I didn't just want to sell a course. We've all like bought crusty courses where you buy the course and you get the dopamine, you feel like you're doing something, and then you just never do it. I was like, if I'm going to keep doing this, I want to keep the tone of what I had with my best friend because it was just banter, girl talk, hangout time. I want to keep that silly tone, not take it too seriously, but still be ultra valuable and helpful, but figure out how to fix what doesn't work with education. And the way I'm fixing it is with psychotic levels of accountability and a community that's attached to the course, and with a ton of face to face time with co working and with group coaching calls every week. And the podcast is at Hybrid Hangout now. Just want you to feel like you're hanging out with me. But that was the inception and the story. And now I'm just willing to serve the hell out of your people. What have people been asking you about video?
No, I love that, and it's so evident how passionate you are about teaching other photographers video. The fact that you went in so much depth to ensure that they're not just getting this crusty, the way you phrase it, crusty
Yes.
course, they're actually getting a very strong course that they can learn from, I think is amazing. At what point did you feel like this was needed with elopement photographers? This is something that they should definitely implement in their elopement days.
The moment I realized how actually necessary it was to pare down media teams was when I started talking to students from Alaska, actually, who are like piling into helicopters to get to their
Oh,
locations. And so you can't have huge media teams when there's only 3 people who are allowed to be in these helicopters. And when I was met with that roadblock from an actual photographer who wanted to add video, it made me think to my own client's experience and how beautiful and attractive it was for them to just have to email with me and not another
mhm.
media team. And then it got me thinking to my students who already offer elopements, who are worried about hiring second shooters and associates and all this stuff and how that would disrupt their workflows. And so then it just becomes okay, this can't just be theory. We have to actually talk to our clients and figure out what they're saying and what they want out of a photo video experience. And don't get me wrong, I think there's so much room for traditional videographers and for content creators. And I think that's amazing. But in this hybrid shooting world, when we actually talk to our clients and we really suss out what they're wanting, it's not often a huge produced, crazy, technical a film experience, they're actually really happy with the really condensed short videos that just remind them of what the day was actually like, and bonus points when it's in the same storytelling style that they're getting for their photos because they already know they love that storytelling style. It's what attracted them to you in the first place.
You actually answered my next question so beautifully. I was going to ask you, why do you think the hybrid photography works so well with elopement days like
Yeah.
traditional weddings? And it's because the couple doesn't want like the whole production, and they're trying to have as little people there as possible anyways. And they
Yeah.
chose you because you have a creative eye. So it's like really, I can see why they would choose the hybrid option over having an additional videographer. That makes
Absolutely.
a lot of
And
sense.
then yeah, and then there's also the practicality of are like, say they're spending $8,000 for their elopement photographer, do they have the same prioritization and want and need for an $8,000 to $10,000 videographer? And sometimes the answer is yes, and that's so fun and amazing, but if the answer is no, then it's a win for the client to be able to get spend less money for the simple product they're actually wanting, and then it's also a win financially for the photographer to be able to upsell something that's four, five, $6,000. So the client gets a little bit of a discount and a condensed experience and feels served really well. And the photographer is then able to scale how much money that client is worth.
I really want to talk about upselling and like talk about pricing later on, but can we dive into like common fears and misconceptions you would say that photographers have when entering video? Because I've dabbled in it a little bit, but I guess like with a lot of elopement photographers, a lot of us are perfectionists and we want to give our best work. But I think doing both photo and video, there comes a point where we're spread thin and we're not providing our best work. Is there any other fears that you want to address or misconceptions about that?
Absolutely. And there's a few things I want to pick out with everything you just said, Cheryl,
Okay.
because
Yeah.
you're so right. There's a lot of confidence things that come up and perfectionist tendencies that come up and misconceptions about how much you actually have to do to be able to tell a quality story with both mediums, right?
Yeah.
And to that, I'll say, I'm a big believer in reverse engineering what it is you want and figuring out the easiest way to do what it is you want. And when we have standards of quality, that's because you have great taste, you're a great artist, right? You've already done the grunt work of getting your photo work to the quality standards that you want it to be at. And then you look at that mountain with video and you think it's so high, right?
Yeah.
I just want to dispel that notion because you've already done so much of that foundational work of learning how to frame a shot, how to properly expose a shot in the exposure triangle, how to tell a story through all of that work you did with photography. And now with videography, especially in the simple way that I'm suggesting you do in the practicing phase of hybrid shooting, now it's just putting all that knowledge together and then building on it with a couple extra steps. And those are very doable. And then when it comes to the worry of not being able to provide the same quality level of experience with photography, my answer to that is typically, have you ever left an elopement feeling like you overshot photos, Cheryl?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Now it's just examining our own behavior because for some people, the answer is actually no. Their process is really tight and they have moments where they feel like they're able to take a step away and breathe a bit and just notice and they don't feel like they're overshooting.
Yeah.
To those people, I'm like, great, during your noticing time, take some video. But
Mhm.
for those who feel like they're overshooting photos, then it's just a mindset shift of feeling comfortable stepping away from holding down that shutter button, understanding that if you're prioritizing the photo and instead of taking those extra 4 to 5 seconds of holding down the shutter for moments that are largely the same, then you can cut down your culling time later and also add on video by prioritizing the photo and then toggling over to get that 5 to 7 seconds of video with that same framing that you so beautifully put together already for the photo.
No, I love that approach. And honestly, I think a lot of elopement photographers already do something similar in the sense that we do GIFs or GIFs, however it's pronounced.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, instead of just like holding down the burst mode, why don't we just hold down the red button and record? Like it
And you could still
transition
make the
out.
GIF.
Exactly. Yeah, so I was just like,
Yeah,
yes, and you can still make the GIF is something that I realized when I was messing around with video at one point. So I was like, "Man, why not just, like, do both?"
beautiful.
Yeah, and
And then
also
just
sorry.
to round out that point, and I also want to hear what you're thinking here too, is that I know for a fact a lot of photographers out there, when they think of video, they're thinking of huge rigs and they're thinking of like dudes who wear beanies with their like ripped black jeans, and they're thinking of the men on YouTube with the ambient light in the background and like the 8K video talking heads, and they're unboxing all this gear, telling you that you need XYZ, being super pedantic about settings and about this is the right way to do things. I just want to tell you, like, I'm literally an idiot and I can do it. And I don't do any of that shit. Sorry, do we curse on this
Yeah, we
podcast?
do.
I did great. I don't do any of that shit. I keep things literally as simple as humanly possible. And if the fear is that the final product isn't going to be crazy produced and looking like a Sony Alpha Pros video might, then I would say great. I think the storytelling style should reflect what you're doing with your photos. And I think you should take this practicing phase and get a couple of videos under your belt, even if they're 30 to 90 seconds long. And you actually aren't the judge of the quality of those videos, the market is. If you have photography clients who look at those videos and decide they want to add it onto their package, then your responsibility is to then make something that is at that level of quality or exceeds it. And it probably will exceed it because that's what practice does.
Yeah. How long are your videos, by the way?
For an elopement, if I'm hybrid shooting by myself, they can probably expect like a 4 to 7 minute highlight film.
Oh, beautiful. Okay. That's achievable for us Elopement photographers, I think.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we're in such a beautiful place right now too, Cheryl, where the market and the social media culture and the trends have made video feel very like mainstream. Like
Yeah.
we have a tolerance for video that when I was teaching this back in 2019, 20 photographers didn't have. We're constantly getting behind the scenes with our iPhones. Tons of photographers have added Super 8 and just haven't figured out yet how to position it or leverage it.
Mhm.
And those point and shoot offers are valid video add ons. And so I just want to give you the encouragement if you're listening to me talk about how I hybrid shoot with the camera I use for photos, that there are point and shoot options for video for you that can make you thousands from each project.
I love that. That gets me excited. Quick pause for my destination and adventure elopement photographers. This one is important, you guys. For almost 2 years, I used a basic wedding or couple session contract, and it didn't even come close to covering the realities of what we do on elopement days. Before going full time, I invested in the adventure elopement and destination elopement contracts from the legal page, and I didn't realize how much my contracts were missing. If your work includes travel days, adventurous activities, permits, unpredictable weather, or international elopements, you need a contract designed for that level of complexity. Whether I am photographing in the Redwoods, Mount Rainier, Yosemite, or traveling internationally to Italy, Switzerland, or Thailand, I know I'm protected and so are my couples. If you're ready to upgrade your contracts, use code Cheryl10 for 10% off any contract from the legal page. All right, let's get back to the show. My other question that I wanted to ask you, because obviously you saw how excited I got when you said that you're a mom. I did not know that. That gets me so excited. Like a big part of like this podcast is also giving advice to other mamas because I feel like it's just
Yeah.
non-existent in our elopement industry. So I just absolutely love that and that you're educating all of us in a most simple way because mama life is already so stressful. So thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a way to like, I don't know, I feel like video is already so overwhelming. I guess for like moms, is there like some advice that you would give like, with outsourcing or it's really not as complicated editing video as I guess, perceiving it to be?
Especially in this portfolio building stage, I'm of the mindset that, like, what is going to be the easiest way to get what you want? And if what you want is basically cutting these clips to the beat of a song, so making a glorified slideshow, then what I would say to that is a lot of us have a tolerance for this type of content build up through making reels and TikToks. So
Mhm.
you understand visually what a song looks like, even if you don't have the techie, scary words for it, right? You understand when you zoom in on an audio line, you see those little bumps.
Mhm.
That's the visual representation of a song. And you understand intuitively, even if you don't know the language for it, those bumps like represent like parts on the song that might be good to switch up your photo or your clip when you're making those TikToks and reels. And so that is a waveform. Okay. And so you just learned something that scares people away from editing videos.
Yeah.
So my challenge to you is to reframe the things that feel overwhelming or scary or techie and think like, what's the dumbest version of this? And can I make that possible? And as far as balancing any new skill with motherhood, I love the expression that business is a game of trade offs, but that extends to life too. Life is a game of trade offs. So we always have to look at what we want to do as parents. And oftentimes, the trade off for doing something we want to do to grow our business is time with the children, right? Or attention away from the children. And sometimes that trade off feels really worth it, and sometimes it doesn't. Okay. I'm in a place where when it comes to learning new skills, when it comes to growing my business and scaling, the trade-off for me is I have invested in childcare. And then sometimes the trade-off is if I'm not willing to invest in childcare, then what is the trade-off I'm making? It might be sleep. Am I willing to stay up an hour or two after they go to bed or get up an hour or two before they get up? Am I willing to work on this during nap time instead of this other thing that might move the needle forward or instead of watching Netflix? And so to that, I just wanted to put a fine point on that. That's video, or that's batching your marketing, or that's taking client calls, or that's anything. And there's no right or wrong answer to the choices and the priorities you have and make for yourself and your life and business. It's just remembering that there are trade offs and being okay with that as long as you're being true to what you want and what's important to you.
That was so beautifully said. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Shayna, for
Thank you.
talking about
Also,
mom.
I adore my kids. I'm obsessed with them, but I grew up with a mom who made the choice to be in the house and not have a job for most of my upbringing. And I can tell you for myself and my experience, that was not a happy woman that I watched. And I was never excited to be that or do that. But I've seen other women make that choice who they were born for that choice and it was meant for them. And there's no judgment in either direction. It's being very aware of yourself and your priorities. The version of yourself that is happy and thriving in whatever is right for you is the version that your kids deserve. So you have to be really real with yourself when you ask these questions.
That's so true. I guess my approach is like it is really important for me for my daughter to see me like following my dreams while being a good mother, just to show to her that she can do both and she doesn't have to pick one or the other. So, yeah.
I agree. And I love you for that. I really have to believe that the best version of myself that I can give my kids is showing them a person who works really, really hard for what they want and makes the most out of my focused time with them. Because I've gotten questions before that are like, how are you balancing this and this? And it's like, no way. It is kid time and it is work time, and everyone respects that. And
Yeah.
that's how it needs to be. Or they're getting me like this, being like, one second, I'm not interested in that
Yeah.
being how they see me.
I know. And I need to be way better at that. So you're motivating me.
Just audit my time and see that, like, I'm saying this because I need to work on it.
No, I understand. Okay, let's dive into gear because I think that seems intimidating. Obviously, you're explaining that they don't need this entire setup. If there is a photographer that wants to start doing hybrid, is there some gear that you recommend them starting with? Or are they good with just their
The
camera?
Oh, I think you're good with just your camera.
Okay.
Cameras are so ridiculously good these days. This used to be a legitimate debate when there were, like, options that were way better than other options.
Mhm.
In this day and age, especially with, like, mirrorless cameras, most cameras can at least get up to 4K video at 60 frames per second. And if you're listening and even that sounds really nerdy and techy, I want you to know, if you're someone who makes GIFs, frames is just photos. in your GIF. And the more photos that are in that GIF, the smoother the GIF is. That's all frames per second is. So if you're capturing 60 of those frames in 1 second, then when you slow that footage down, it's like a really smooth picture show. And then if you have less frames in that second, it'll get choppier the more you slow it down. And even in the moment, you're not really making decisions like that. Kind of make that decision in the research phase, change it on your camera, and then forget about it. So I just want this to feel the least intimidating it can. And then if you are choosing that setup with the camera you're already using, which I think is a beautiful choice in this practicing phase, the only additional thing I would recommend is if you have any interest in capturing raw audio or your clients speaking like through their love letters or vows, then just clip on like a cheapy lav mic. I like to use the little Tascam sound recorders that come with mics that you can pin to their collars. And that goes to a little SD card, and then you can edit your cute, simple videos to their vows.
Oh, you're making it sound so easy.
It's so
I'm
easy,
getting
Cheryl,
excited.
I swear. No, you should get excited because you could do this and you would crush it. Everyone who's listening can do a version of this. I've had students who are like, yeah, that's all great. I'm going to make this as simple as possible. And it's just super 8 for me for the rest of my life, which is a point and shoot offer on film. And the student like double fists like with her photo camera, and she has that super 8 going whenever she feels the vibe to do super 8. And I've had students upsell iPhone clips, and then they've gotten to the point where, like, they don't even edit the iPhone clips, they just put them in a Dropbox folder, and they send them the night of the wedding or elopement, and you can also send those to any vendors that are involved, and they feel so served, and it's like, "Hey, I hope you love scrolling through these videos and remembering the time we have. I hope it holds you over until you get your sneak peek for photos in 2 days."
Wow, that's amazing. I love that you mentioned that they're not, like, editing the videos at this point because I feel like in our
No.
they're just so high, but really our couples are happy with anything, it sounds like.
Totally. And if you craft an offer that speaks to your people, then you get to decide what the rules are. There's no real rules, period.
Right. Is there any, like, mistakes that you feel that you see a lot of photographers making early on with
I think the biggest mistake comes with just the one that they regret the most is just not getting the highest quantity of footage that they can. And that's something that you just have to practice. One thing that helps is having a system for storytelling. And I'm kind of a broken record about this. And if I have your permission, I'll take 4 minutes to talk about it.
Go ahead. Thank
Amazing.
you.
I think in our storytelling workflow, right, with photos, when you're in the phase of being an established elopement photographer, a lot of the storytelling is kind of intuitive, right? That push and pull, making sure we're getting a lot of dynamic shots in our photos. But then when you switch to video, something in our brain sort of freaks out a little bit, right? We're like, when do I do photos? When do I do video? Oh no, I'm not getting enough video. I'm focusing so much on photos when really, like, you already know how to tell a beautiful story. But if we can be a little literal, in this phase where we're practicing doing both at the same time, it just goes back to remembering what each shot does. So if in every moment, if we can take it off in our head that we make sure we get these 5 shots, then when you leave that moment, then you've gotten enough footage and you don't need to worry about it until the editing room, right? And those 5 shots are a wide shot, right? So we establish setting. So place, time, climate. We answer questions about setting with a wide shot. And most elopement photographers are into itty bitty people, big landscape. We feel very used to that shot. It's just a matter of prioritizing it photo, switching over to video, getting that 5 to 7 seconds, wide shot, checked. Then we move into the long shot. And this is where a lot of photographers feel comfortable hanging out. If you ever do a portfolio review and you notice in your galleries that like every shot looks like it's from the same distance, it's usually a long shot because a photographer will take up a medium space, especially a photographer who really favors like a 35 millimeter will take up a medium distance from their subject and hang out there a lot of the times. This shot is beautiful. If it's feet up or even waist up, it shows how your subject moves within that space that you just established. So if you're getting a long shot and you prioritize that moment or that movement in photo, toggle over 5 to 6 seconds video, then now you've answered space, time, climate, and setting with your wide shot. And then you've answered how your subjects are moving within that space. And then if we get even closer with the close up, that is when our subjects are filling the frame. And this shot answers questions about the subject themselves. And we do, oh man, elopement photographers are so beautiful and artistic. You do a lot with these close ups. And especially in nature, like I'm thinking like those shots with like hair in the face or faces really close together. I love a close up. So for answering questions about the subject themselves, think how much story we've already covered with these 3 shots. Now think about details. So rings being exchanged, hands holding vow books, playing with the coffee stirrer in the coffee when you get up to the picnic after a sunrise hike. Those details really close storytelling gaps about the subjects themselves. And then we shift focus when we do B roll. And elopement photographers tend to be great at B roll. That's why I love elopement photographers, because we know intuitively as photographers, those B roll shots that take away from the subject. So think moss on rocks or raindrops on leaves and animals you see on the hike during an elopement. These B roll shots, they're great for photos because you want your clients to remember what the whole experience was like, right? What they were seeing. It's the same with video when you switch to B roll. I define this at what the clients themselves are seeing. So it's no longer about what the clients are doing, it's about how they're experiencing that moment. And with those 5 shots, you're rounding out all storytelling gaps. If you really just try to get those 5 clips during each like moment or scene, then when you get to editing at the end of the when it's time to edit, you'll have a ton that tells a well-rounded story.
Oh my gosh, Shayna, you just dropped so much juicy goodness here. This isn't even
Always.
your educational course. I can't even imagine how much more you teach in your course. This is awesome. Thank you so
I thank you. That's what I like to hear. Thank you, Cheryl.
And it's funny because my next question was going to be like, is there a specific time where you're only taking video? But it sounds like you're doing it throughout the day. And I think what I envision in my head in order to make it as simple as possible is like only record during vows and then record during couples portraits because it's like that is dedicated time toward the couple that they understand that they're being photographed and it's not taking away from really any intimate moment. And you have a lot of time to like switch between video and photo.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, like it's just those two, but it sounds like you're doing it the entire day, which is crazy.
Yeah. And it really depends on your style too, because sometimes I'm sure you've noticed in your education and with your interaction with photographers, definitions of elopements can get goosey and veer into micro wedding territory. So if we're ever talking about like intimate weddings, then like, no, I'm not toggling to video for family portraits. No, I'm not toggling to video. Like, also, if you are the type of elopement photographer who likes to mix your editorial style with documentary coverage, I'm guessing, I would assume you are more likely to focus on photos when you're being more artistic and editorial with posing, and then be more hybrid shooting when you're letting your subjects be more candid. And if you're getting those artistic storytelling shots versus like a Vogue,
Yeah.
really posing your couples.
Yes, no, that definitely makes sense. Perfect. I think you answered a lot of my questions. Look, can we dive into business now?
Always.
Okay,
Yes, I'm
perfect.
down.
Do you think as photographers that we should add on video or already include it in the package?
Yes, I believe this is a both and situation, which is so annoying, but hear me out.
Okay.
And I think the way I teach this as far as positioning your offer and like making it sexy, beautiful, gorgeous for people to want to book you for both, you should have at least one package that includes everything that you're willing to offer. And we call this your big boy package. And it should be the first thing they see in your pricing guide. And my reasoning for this, too, from a marketing perspective, is I want you speaking to that package no matter what piece of content you're putting out. And I teach it this way because naturally, people will be attracted to the words you're using when you're painting the picture of that experience. So for me, if it's hybrid multi-day destination photo and video, then if I'm always talking about what that experience is, even the people who inquire and are like, hey, do you just do photos? That ends up being a sale, but I'm always speaking to my highest package possible. And then when you have that package that has everything that you offer in it, then people feel really served on a sales call when you're able to like mix and match and like build them something that's perfect for them. So that's my first reasoning. When you have packages that are photo only that work for what a client wants, but they want to add on a really simple video, then that's something you can speak to as well that also makes them feel really served. So it's just different ways of positioning things that are actually pretty similar. And sales psychology wise, this works because people always just want to feel like they're being heard and that they're being served based off of what they're actually wanting and saying. And so to me, it's like you absolutely should be able to present it and package it in a way where there's a hybrid offer, but also have it as an upsell. And so that it feels like really exciting whenever it is booked and your client feels really served whenever they're able to add it on.
Genius. I love it. So, if we do all of that, how do we go about pricing without undervaluing ourselves? Because it's obviously something that's super valuable. And how do
Yeah.
we pitch that to the couples? Or is it like pretty easy? They're like, oh, I want my vows recorded.
This is okay. This is a beautiful two-parter again. You're gonna be like, get off my podcast. You talk so much.
Mhm.
So, first of all, when it comes to pricing yourself, I feel the same way with just photo offers as I do video add-ons. And that is a mix of math and market research and auditing your time and also being able to clearly articulate value, which goes into part two of the answer, right? So when we're first looking to sell something, the assumption here is you've been doing this for years as an elopement photographer, or you've like clearly priced yourself as a photographer. So you can look at what you're selling and be like, yeah, for the market, this is low range, mid range, high range. For where I live, this is this, and this. I want you to always know your answers for that. And then as far as auditing your time, that's just reps, right? So you have to like practice delivering on this offer, even if you're not charging at first or charging very little. And you need to audit your time editing and see how it feels to deliver the service on site. If you feel like it was really hard and a lot of extra work while you're doing it, then when you get to the value prop for yourself, then it's okay, like energetically, I only feel happy if it's at least this amount of money. So it's not like just market research, it's not just guessing, and it's not just auditing your time. It's also auditing how you feel when it's sold. And you can only figure out those numbers when you practice. And so with that said, like there's obviously systems and formulas we use to figure this out, but you already did this process with photos. So I know you can do it with video. Practice on your next engagement session or next like random session. Edit the video, see how long it takes, see how it feels, see what the final product is, and be like, okay, value wise, I'm going to be able to articulate it this way. And then with all the time I put in and effort and like how much work this is going to add on, it is worth this much money to me. Typically, if people are just selling clips with no editing, they usually start at like 800 or 1,000 and then it goes up from there. This can be like a huge add-on for you. Even like a 90-second to 5-minute highlight film from your elopement days is worth thousands to couples. With that said, when we're pitching to clients, the first thing that they see is going to be touch points from your social media and from your website itself. So if you have GIFs on your website and videos embedded into your website and copy on your website that says photo and video, that is step one of awareness for your client that you are willing and able to offer this service and a little preview of what the experience is like. So then, even when they inquire for just photos, your language, your posture, your excitement, and your ability to communicate does the rest of it without it even feeling like a pitch. Just a simple, Cheryl, like you were able to go through the pricing guide. Here we are on the call. I'm so stoked. Are we thinking photo? Were you wanting to add video? Tell me everything you're thinking. Open the door for them to ask questions, have objections. And those reps and that practice helps you communicate better and better and better each time. And it's not a pitch of what can I do to make you add video? It's more, you have asked all these questions, and now I'm articulating how I can serve you with both photo and video, and here's what it'll feel like. And from there, it's an easy yes or no because they have all the information.
Got it. Do you think that there's a point where, like, you're taking on too many videos? Is there a way to avoid burnout, or do you think that your process and, like, the way you're teaching it is so easy that there's no such thing as burnout from doing hybrid?
There's always a such thing as burnout, especially when we're moms. Here's my opinion on delegation, no matter what it is in your business. I'm of the belief that you need to do the homework and figure out your process and what you love to do and how you love to do it in every area of your business. And once you understand how it works and what works for your business and what's profitable, then you are allowed to outsource. So, like, if you sell a video for $5,000 and that if you upsell a video for $5,000 and it's going to take $1,000 to get someone to edit it, that's still $4,000 into your business that you wouldn't have had if you wouldn't have upsold the video.
Got it. No, that makes sense. Um, do you think that I'd be okay not shooting in RAW? Just like,
Oh my God, yeah. I don't when I'm hybrid shooting, I don't shoot in RAW. That's
oh,
so much
really?
space on a card.
Oh, okay. No, that makes me
Oh,
feel
I
so
shoot
much
photos in RAW, video
obviously.
not.
Oh, okay. Shayna, you are thank you. I think, like, that was
Cheryl's like, Cheryl's gonna join Hybrid Hub right after this call.
I am no, I'm actually you are getting me really excited to the point that I feel like I'm, like, starting to sweat because 'cause I'm like, this entire time, I always thought that I had to shoot in RAW for video, so much so that, like, I've bought, the filter that you to during
Yeah, the DV, yeah.
see how complicated it gets with tech gear, but now I feel like I can approach this in a different, non-complicated manner. This is exciting.
Yeah, literally, and then it builds. Like,
Yeah.
maybe after a year of doing it the dumb way, you have a passion for video and you start wanting to add on some bells and whistles. I
Mhm.
think so many photographers start not just with video, but with anything creative or fun that they want to add to their businesses or creative process, but then they almost over research and they're like, oh, to do this thing perfectly, I need this, 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 and this. I might as well not even start. Where it's like, well, maybe you buy all that shit and you realize you don't like video. So why not just start this in the simplest way possible, serve the hell out of your clients, make a shit ton of money, and then figure out if you want to get fancier. The answer for me is I never actually wanted to get fancier, and my clients love my dumb videos. So just
Mm.
start.
No, I love this. Thank you so much.
Thank
Okay.
you. This is
I
so fun.
This is fun. I'm having a good time. Do you think that there's a line between hiring a hybrid photographer versus hiring, like, a true dedicated videographer?
I do think there's a line, and obviously there's pros and cons to both. For bigger jobs, when I'm hired for like a bougie wedding, on a Saturday, I'm almost always hired for video only,
Mhm.
right? And so I kind of get a taste of both worlds all the time. If my Monday through Thursday is just chilling in Glacier and being a dirtbag doing photo and video, and then I have to like dress nice and try to look cute and professional on Saturdays, I get the different experiences that those different clients are getting.
Mhm.
And with a dedicated video team where that's all I'm focusing on and I'm going for like the more complicated production with a ton of angles, that experience for those couples that get me and my team in that context is just different. And it's better in some ways and it's worse in some ways. The ways in which I believe it's worse and just for my personality is I wouldn't want a 5-person media team pointing cameras at me from all angles all day. But
Yeah.
some people do want that, right? And that's with 2 people on photo, 2 people on video, and a content creator. That's a lot of cameras. The final product ends up being like a more detailed, more complicated like web for the video. And then The cons I would say as well is like having 3 different points of contact. So, they're emailing the photographer, they're emailing the videographer, they're emailing the content creator. That's just a lot of people to manage before the day, and then different delivery time expectations, and then different final products told in different styles from different points of view with different opinions on what's important contextual to the day. For a hybrid photographer, videographer, I'd say the pros are that single point of contact. And I would say another pro is that those final products being delivered in similar styles that attracted you to the photographer in the first place. For cons, I would say, um, for the client, I don't see a lot of cons, but I'm so biased. So I'm trying to like be a good podcast guest and think of some. I would just say maybe different expectations on delivery time between the photos and videos. The way I've combated, like my contract is very clear when each is delivered, obviously, but the culture of my company versus the contract is a different conversation. The culture I've established is I edit photos as quickly as humanly possible, and the video is more in line with what the contract says delivery time is, which is like 4 months. And so totally. But it's also, I try to be very clear on these podcasts about what my life is like, which Glacier or similar to anywhere in the PNW is very seasonal. So, like, I'm working my ass off for like 4 or 5 months and then I'm just kind of chilling and doing education for the rest of the year. So it's really just putting the reps in to figure out what your expectations can be as far as prepping your client for what that day of will be like.
Mhm.
And then expectations will be for the deliverables. For a client that wants a very simple highlight film, wants a video but isn't prioritizing it to the point where every single thing and every angle is filmed, I think going with a hybrid shooter is a really beautiful option.
Perfect. That was well said. My last question before we go into like fun rapid fire questions is
Okay, great.
we got to close it out fun. But basically, if there was someone that was curious about joining Hybrid Hangout, um, but they just weren't sure, what would you say to them?
Oh my, just DM me. So the program's called Hybrid Hub. It's so confusing. All my free shit is Hybrid Hangout. I want you hanging out with me. Go to @Hybrid Hangout on Instagram and just DM me and we will chat one-on-one about if it's right for your business. And if it's not, integrity is very, very important to me. I had a person literally today, they said their goals for the business were to get their settings down and I sent them to another educator's settings guide because I don't teach that. So, like, if it's not right for your business, I'm gonna send you to the right place.
Awesome. Okay, great. Let's get into rapid fire to close us.
Yeah.
First one, photo or video?
Okay, I'm so annoying with rapid fire. Photo is more fun and easier in the editing room. Video, I'm always more proud of the final product.
So which one do you choose if you had to choose one?
Video,
Video?
video,
Yeah.
because it's what sets me apart. I think anyone can take a good photo.
Yeah. Hot take.
Like, I think everyone to me, if you're a good elopement photographer, it's very in line with the other good elopement photographers. I don't look at my work and go, "Oh, that's the best work." I say like, "Oh, those are good elopement photos." But when I look at my films, I'm like, "Oh, those are weird and cool and innovative and interesting, and it's why people hire me."
I love that. Okay. Sunrise or sunset?
Sunset,
Okay. If you had to choose one lens forever for either photo or video, which one would it be?
24 to 70.
Ooh, that's a good one. I feel like that's a favorite. It's so diverse. You can take so many
I know.
photos and
I'm
videos.
a basic bitch, but also I'm a hipster, and I was doing it before you all moved on from the 35 millimeter.
But what is one mistake beginners make that you just hate and wish they wouldn't do?
Hmm. One mistake I really don't like when people try to slow down footage that was taken at like 24 frames per second because it's just obvious and it's really like choppy.
Got it, guys. You hear her. Don't annoy her with that.
Don't do not disappoint me if you're listening to this podcast and I see slowed down low frame rate footage.
Especially if you're her student. Oh my God, I feel like she's going to come after you. Be careful, guys.
No, it's a
Okay.
lot. I always joke with them. My like foot's on their necks at all times. I'm like, are you guys okay? Is this like Stockholm syndrome?
No worries. They still love you. That's the point. Last question. What is one piece of advice that you want to leave for our Epic community before we sign off here?
Take messy action. If there's even like a little tiny bit of you that wants to try something, anything, I don't care if it's video or anything in your business, Just think about what small thing you can do today to get toward that goal because you're an artist, you're a creative, like there's some perfectionistic tendencies in there. And sorry to be a dick today, but perfectionism is just insecurity and ego. And to me, it's like if you're saying you're a perfectionist and you need things to be perfect, think about your standards of perfect and where they've gotten you, and look back at what you thought was perfect a year or two ago and ask yourself if you still think that that thing is perfect. You are getting better all the time. So you might as well start where you are right now and plug away towards your goal. You will get there so much faster. So if we're bringing it back to video, use your fucking iPhone. I don't care, but just start.
I love that, the tough love. Stop yelling at me, okay?
No, you're Cheryl's like,
I'll start
"Okay,
doing
weirdest
video
guest
and
I've ever had." She yelled at all my people.
no, I'm gonna it's lighting a fire under my ass, and I'm going to start video at my next elopement, which is I'm sorry, I'm looking at my
Yeah.
calendar, which is Italy, so you gotta
Oh
hold me
my
to
god,
it.
humble brag. If you need a second shooter to supplement the video, I will come. No worries.
I'll put you in my suitcase.
Great deal. I'll be there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. This was amazing. And if anyone is curious about doing photo or video, you guys know who to contact. It's your girl, Shayna. Thanks for tuning in to the Epic Podcast. If you love today's episode, don't forget to follow the show, leave a review, and share it with a friend who could use a little inspiration. You can connect with me on Instagram and TikTok at Cheryl Ann Photo or at Epic Photo Podcast for more stories, tips, and behind the scenes from life as an elopement photographer. Until next time, stay epic.